At the end of the main street, there is a sharp turn before the long, empty highway. There will be fewer people here, and the road adjacent to this spot will be kept open. This spot is the closest a car will be able to get to the runner's route. Lately, I have been standing in this place at dusk as the asphalt cools like a body in death, dreaming of what I must do today. I am going to steal the Olympic torch. I have been training. I have a next-door neighbor, Kevin, and he has been helping me rehearse scenarios in secret. Compartmentalization is the key to secrecy. Kevin is only faintly aware of what we're up to. He is 60 kilos, soaking wet, and he paints little men, but he has become indispensable to the rehearsal process. Stealing an Olympic torch is not easy. If you Google it, the new AI overview says, while there have been several attempts and near misses, a successful theft of the torch is rare. In 2012, 2 youths in England, real pipsqueaks, tried to snatch the torch in Coventry. You can watch it on YouTube, and it's dumb as piss. They make a half-hearted perpendicular intercept and get their hands on it for exactly 5 seconds before they're whisked away by officials. In 2000, a 19-year-old in Frankston snatched it for a few minutes. In 2016, a lone man burst through the crowd ahead of a security detail in São Paulo. He writhed for a moment in their arms, but was quickly dealt with. The top comment on the video reads, "Why the fuck did he think that would work?" The torchbearer is literally surrounded with security guards. In one training scenario, I rush Kevin and tackle him to the ground, wrenching the torch free. We use a cricket bat of equivalent weight. I am proud of Kevin. He has started asserting boundaries around how often we rehearse this, because, in his words, it's cool for you, but it sucks shit for me. In another version, I am dressed in a high-vis vest I got off Temu. I run alongside him and explain that there's something wrong with the torch, and I need to check it quickly. Of course, as soon as he hands it over, I am gone. To me, this is the winning strategy. Stanley Milgram in the Milgram experiment proved that people are, by and large, highly obedient to authority figures and professionals. It doesn't matter how cool the torch looks. Any sane person would have to be a bit worried about it blowing up. I have done my research. I believe the runner will be the sort of man who would be relieved to know that someone in high V's is checking on the torch to make sure it won't blow up. The runner's name is Damien McLaughlin. He is a local football hero and cancer survivor who has become low-level Instagram famous by running marathons without shoes on. I watch his posts, bragging about the revolting, inch-thick calluses on his soles. He has created a lifestyle brand around shoelessness, drawing an implied connection between footwear and cancer. He can get away with this because he is handsome. Australia has a practically insatiable appetite for the Damien type of man. If I waddled about the shops barefoot and said that shoes can kill you, I would have violence done to me. I would be put in a headlock. I am waiting in the pub, watching the torch's progress on TV. They explain that, at the beginning of the Olympic cycle, it was lit in Athens itself, using a mirror to harness the sun's rays, like when you burn ants. It has toured Oceania. It has flown on planes in Australia. There will be 11,000 torchbearers before it reaches its final destination. I ask for another glass of Coke because I need to stay sharp. Terry nods and forces a smile. Most fortnights, on a Friday, the pub runs trivia. The prize is a meat raffle, usually pork and fennel sausages, a pair of porterhouse steaks, 500 g of beef mince, 4 kangaroo tenderloins, and a few chicken Kievs. Terry is pissy with me because I win almost every week. Because of this, the pool of contestants is thinning out, and they have started giving me a 5-point handicap. We don't prize intelligence in this country. We make our finest minds grill their meats alone. It feels good, though, living off my wits. If I win the raffle, I can make the meat last the fortnight. That's my lifestyle, Bran. I usually eat my meat sitting at a dappled glass table with black metal legs. I smoke and watch the sky shift over the backyard. The yellowed grass is tall where the mower can't reach. There are things on the ground I have dropped, one time or another, that I will never pick up again. I let them bleach in the sun. Sometimes the sky is open and searing, over 40 degrees Celsius for days on end, so hot your eyes feel bain-marie warm in your skull. Sometimes the clouds coalesce, bruise and deepen into lashes of indigo rain, and you can smell that somewhere the grass is still alive. Last night, after one of those blinding days, I sat and watched the stars. As a young man, I had thoughts when I looked at the heavens. Thoughts that felt like something precious surfacing in a calm pool of water. I thought about how there was nothing more tenuous than air between the top of my head and the infinity of space. I thought about the constellations and what it meant to see the light from something that might be long dead. Now, when I look up, I see the space between the stars, and I think about stealing the Olympic torch. It is getting closer now. On the TV, Damien is jogging over the dusty highway astride a motorcade. He is brimming with self-satisfaction. His feet are mercifully out of shot, but I just know they're bare. I get up and head to the toilets down the hall. Kevin and I share a glance. He is over by the pokies, playing big buck hunter with an off-putting intensity. In the brevity of a look, I try to say, "Steady, Kev." We are so close now. In the toilets, I reach back behind the cistern and stuff a note between two pipes. It reads, "Corner of Kelly and Mitchell, 12:45 sharp. Keep the engine running. Don't look like you're in a hurry." At the bar, I settle up and leave Terry a tip. Out on the street, the air is light and warm. Low clouds scud across the sky like gun smoke. Crowds are gathering along the main street. Synthetic Australian flags are selling for $5 a pop. I can't imagine what the Bangladeshi children who make them are earning. I spy a marquee where official types are marshalling. The mayor is out and about in his big rural hat and a suit that fits like those toddler wedding tuxedos. I mill around the edges of the throng in my vest. I don't have anything against the Olympics as a concept. People should be able to do what they like. Kevin cops a lot of judgment for painting his little men, goblins and such, and it has hurt his dating prospects, which I think is wrong. He has shown a passion for something and a will to improve. What I object to, I think, is what we choose to light a torch for and who we choose to celebrate these days. Where are the outcasts and misfits? The mavericks and lunatics? Certain sports must have been started by total freaks back when freaks were afforded respect. A freak came up with pole vaulting, and I will not hear otherwise. You'll never learn his name, that mad Greek with a stick, but he deserves to be remembered and revered more than the private school athletes who vault now like it's the most normal thing in the world. By stealing the torch, I am reclaiming something for a demographic of people who have been pressure washed out of public life. We are ugly and our talents are annoying. We are coming for your torch. Damien rounds the corner, his head bobbing over the surface of the crowd, the flame smoldering high. I can already feel it will be hard to step out onto the road. History has a force field, a dense membrane of air that stops most people from entering its veins. The time is 12:43. I spill from the crowd into a light, organized jog. In every attempt I've seen or read about, it is these opening seconds that decide the outcome. Security are waiting for sudden movements, for youths and hoodies and lefties and nutjobs. Damien is taller in person. His neck sparkles with sweat. We are running together, and for a moment, I am so relieved to be alive that I don't hate him anymore. In a way, I love him. We are running together like brothers, like father and son. He looks at me, a cultivated smile that says he could do this all day. Through gasps, I tell him I need to check the torch gas. The cheers are drowning me out. I am pawing for the torch. I am willing it into my hand. If I snatch, its security will smother me with their enormous fascist bodies, and I will be loser of the week. Damien looks at me again. This look is quizzical. You're still here? I need to check the torch. The gas there is a cold tightening in my airways, mucus, and the tear of a stitch across my abdomen. He hesitates, but then I feel the pre-warmed metal fill my grip, the glow of flame heat on my cheek. At the corner of Kelly and Mitchell, a mid-2000s silver Toyota Camry is waiting. I look over the torch with concerned brows. I can feel Damien is keen to get it back. The motorcade speeds up, ever so slightly. I see my opening. I peel off and charge, leveling the torch like a lance. The locals leap from the flame. They scatter. There is much shouting. I make for the Camry, but something is wrong. No, Kevin. I throw open the driver's side door and take the wheel. As planned, the engine is running. The first officer thuds against the door, pounding on the laminated glass. I wind the wheel tight and pump the gas, lurching away till I am pointed to the potholed road out west. The needle tops out at 140 cam, and the Camry sounds like a wounded animal. On the sun visor, Kevin has left a little yellow sticky note that reads, "Sorry, good luck." Kevin's mom's car is a fair price for his betrayal. I knew his heart was never really in it. A few heroes from the motorcade are giving chase, swelling and multiplying in the rearview mirror. Faintly at first, and then all at once I become aware that the car is on fire, that the torch is burning a hole in the passenger seat. Acrid, black smoke curls against the windshield and billows from the open windows. A few lungfuls, and I can feel consciousness thinning, passing under me and away from me like a blur of road. Thoughts sip and stray. Carl Benz invented the automobile in 1885. Drive was written and performed by the Cars on their 1984 album Heartbeat City. The land speed record is 1,277.986 km, set by Andy Green in the Black Rock Desert. I am winning. I am holding the lead. The stars are going out. I can smell meat on the grill. Story 2. Title Hopping Mad. Some mild swearing and sexual references. It was her fault. Don't get me wrong. I did the deed, but after you hear my story, I hope you'll agree with me that she had it coming to her. We had history. I thought it was mutual love. The proof being that in the colony, we were the mates with the most kids, 478, and counting. At least, we were counting. Barbara was always up for it, and I should have known something would happen. I mean, even though I'm a healthy, hot-blooded buck, I can only manage so much rumpy-pumpy. And apparently, It wasn't enough for her insatiable urges. I caught her one evening, behind the haystack, with that bastard Bobby, the dirty rabbit. They didn't see me, transported as they were on a surging wave of bunny passion, the kind I'd enjoyed with Barbara myself on many occasions. When I next spoke to Barbara, I didn't let on that I knew what she'd been up to, but I already had a plan brewing. Hell hath no fury like an Erictolagus cuniculus scorned, as they say. It was early April, and preparations were underway for the annual Easter bash. As usual, there was to be dandelion wine, aplenty, chocolate children, and snacks of various kinds. I volunteered to prepare toasted sandwiches, my speciality. The chief rabbit took me to one side. "It's a big responsibility, you know," he said. "You must take great care at all times." I knew well enough. It's common knowledge, both that rabbits love toasted sandwiches and that they can only eat one kind at a time. Consuming a variety, for example, a cheese toastie followed by a ham toastie, with apologies to our porcine friends, means certain, instant death. Don't ask me why this should be. I'm not a scientist. Come the fateful day, I got up early to prepare the toasties, which meant a trip first to the baker's. Hot Cross Bunny is the name of the shop for the bread, and the supermarket, Sains Bunnies, for the filling. To digress slightly, perhaps you'd like to know how I make my toasties? This is by no means the only way to do it, but it works for me. I spread butter on one side of 2 slices of bread. I lay one slice, buttered side down, in a small frying pan. Then on the unbuttered side, I lay the filling, on this day cheese, and I know there are questions about using that. And butter, in fact, what with the ethical problems of dairy farming. But what's a rabbit to put in a toastie otherwise? Then I add any extras, for example, ketchup, pepper, oregano, whatever. I put the other slice of bread on top of that, buttered side up, press gently with a spatula, cover the pan, and fry the toastie slowly, flipping it regularly to make sure it doesn't burn. When it's nicely browned, I cut it into 2 triangles, and it's ready to serve. Now, at this point, you may be wondering how a rabbit is able to manipulate a knife, frying pan, spatula, etc. if he doesn't have opposable thumbs. Good question. Suffice it to say that as well as being outrageously cuddly, we bunnies are highly resourceful creatures and get by somehow. Anyway, the toasties as described come out dead delicious, which has given me a bit of a reputation, even though I say so myself. The Easter party had hardly got underway before there was a long queue at my stall. I had my work cut out for me, so I focused on that, but when I did look up, I saw Barbara and Bobby at the end of the queue, laughing like deranged March hares. It was all I could do to resist laughing myself. If I had done, though, it would have come out all demonic, and that might have given the game away. Eventually, Barbara and Bobby reached the stall. "Do you know Bobby?" Barbara said, introducing us. "He's my personal trainer." "Yeah, specializing in push-ups." I thought to myself, "No, I don't think I've had the pleasure," I said, though of course I knew him, and it was with intense displeasure, more like, "We shook feet. Rabbits don't have paws, as you know." I made sure my furry grip was firm. Anything less would have shown him I was weak, and it also emboldened me for what was to come. Barbara's words were slurred. I could tell she'd been at the dandelion already, and not just a bit. She liked to tipple at the best of times, but on special occasion. Well, let's just say she really came out of her hutch. I served Bobby. Normally, it's ladies first, of course, but then Barbara was no lady. She didn't seem to mind, possibly because she was a bit tipsy. Bobby didn't mind either. In fact, he'd almost finished his toastie before I served Barbara. I gave her only a half. "Where's my other half?" she mumbled, her mouth already full. I was about to say I'm here, perfidious doe, but I didn't want to complicate matters. Sorry. I gushed. Where's my head? Idiot, she muttered. I actually welcomed this burst of animosity. It blew away the last vestiges of affection I had for her and made what I was going to do that much easier. I reached under the stall for the other half of her toasty. Only, yes, you've probably guessed it. It was tuna, with apologies to our piscine friends. Barbara stuffed the second half into her maw, chewed, smiled at how delicious it was, stopped chewing, opened her eyes wide, let out a groan, and fell over, stone dead. As you might expect, chaos ensued, and that was the end of the event. As we don't have forensic investigators in the colony, we're just rabbits, after all. No one suspected anything untoward and put Barbara's sudden demise down to her being overweight and overcome with the old vino. But naturally, I knew what had befallen once dear Barbara. She was simply a victim of mixing my toasties.